What's going on, Spitfires? Welcome back to another episode of the Spitfire Podcast. I'm your host, LeMunyan, this Spitfire coach, here to share some words of wisdom, some inspiration, some things to get you going, whether it's in your personal life, your business life, or all the life that's in between. As a reminder, if you are not already subscribed, this would be a great time to do it. We are on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and Spotify. Or you could go to our website, spitfirecoach.com/episode to catch up on our over 200 episodes. We have been rocking and rolling since 2017 with bite-sized, action-packed, lesson-driven episodes for you and yours. And if you like it, feel free to leave a review, send it to a friend. Keep igniting those Spitfires around you. So today I wanted to share my top 5 life and leadership lessons that I have learned in being a military spouse. I'm relatively new in this world. I do not come from a military family, have very little experience with people living and working in the military. And so I always say, I didn't choose this life chose me. And here we are going on 3 years of having a family in the military and moving cross country and having health insurance through the military, which is great. We get a lot of benefits that are provided from us. But with that, there is a cost of being not in control of everything, of having someone else make choices on our behalf of where we're going to be and when we're going to be there. And so I wanted to just take some time to reflect on these core lessons that can be universally and generally applied, whether you're in the military, whether you're working for yourself, whether you're working for another person, another company, and how you might apply it to kind of create some more space, some openness, some adaptability and flexibility. Because really at the core of it, that is what I'm learning and what I'm going to share today. I'll keep it short and sweet, add a little storytelling in all of it, but hopefully you can take something away from today. So the first thing that I have learned is something that I actually was practicing before I met my husband, before I really entered this space, and it's essentialism. So there's a great book. I will link it in the show notes, but really at the core of essentialism, it's focusing on what is most important to you. Like, what are those core values, core things to you that you need to focus on? Because when things are changing, when things feel in flux, you're going to need a really solid foundation to link to. So when I think of what's essential to me, it's number one, my health, because if I'm not well, it's really hard to take care of other people. And especially when my husband was in the hospital for 33 days last summer, and when my daughter was born, and all of the flux, if I am not in a position to care for others, it's just going to fall apart. There's a lot of weight that I carry, invisible and visible labor. And so that's what I've been really, really focusing on, of like, what are the core things that I need? And so it's absolutely at least 7 hours of sleep. It's daily movement. It's journaling and writing. It's having connection and community around me. So reaching out to people, talking to people. And also, I kind of need to work. I love working with clients. I love having that impact on people. So that's what's essential to me. Everything else feels like stuff. Like, as long as there's food in the fridge or access to food, we've got the lights on, we don't need much. Right now, about 80% of our stuff is in storage, awaiting a cross-country move. And I'm realizing I don't need much more than like some clothes and obviously stuff to shower with and, somewhere to sleep and some food. We don't need the other stuff. It's nice, it's comfortable. But at the core of it, what is it that you truly need? Do you need the fancy car? Do you need the big screen TV? Do you need to have the, $18 coffee? Is that how much it is now? But thinking about like, what is essential to you, functioning, your happiness, being well, especially with things getting more and more expensive. It's like, it's not about being so rigid that it creates suffering, but like, at the core of it, what's most important to you? And so being able to spend the time with my family, having my health, being able to relax and sleep, like that is a luxury that some people do not have. And I am absolutely grateful and thankful for it. So essentialism is at the core of all of this. That's kind of the overriding theme of when you are a military spouse, you have to focus on what's essential, because so much of the other stuff, location, timing, when things are going to happen with when you get a doctor's referral or when things are going to click together, and getting orders. We waited, we thought we were going to get them in October, November. We just got them a couple weeks ago and we are in May. And we're moving at the end of June. So if that puts things into perspective, sometimes things happen really fast and you can plan. But as I'm going to share in my other lessons, sometimes those plans don't really stay your plans. They change as soon as you get comfortable with them. So essentialism, I will put the link to the book in the show notes. I highly recommend checking it out. The other lesson is to get really clear in your project management strategy. So the three things that I focus on is what needs to happen, when does it need to happen, and who needs to do it. And the who is super important because when you're dealing with the military, we have as spouses our own, DoD ID card, and that will get us access to most things. But things like moving and referrals and being able to put in a move request all needs to happen from the person who is in the military. I can't go in and do that. I have no access to that. I have no access to the insurance stuff aside from my own and my daughter's. So there's a lot that I have to rely on with my husband being able to do that. And he's not always accessible because where he works, he doesn't have access to his phone all the time. And so it's being able to manage when things can happen and how to have things sequentially ordered. Because when you have these complex systems, you can't skip steps. You have to go through different referral chains. So within TRICARE, which is the health insurance company, you have to have a primary care doctor refer you to a specialist, and you have to wait until it hits the TRICARE system before you can then get the phone number to then call. And if you try to advance through any of those steps, that you will get thrown right back to the beginning. It's like chutes and ladders. And it's super frustrating, especially when I was pregnant and moving from TRICARE West to TRICARE East and trying to get referrals, and I was a high-risk pregnancy. It was a whole shebang. It was very frustrating, and I spent a lot of time on hold. I think there were probably a lot of tears shed because I was like, I just need to see a doctor, and I'm going to give birth, and this is crazy. But these are the things that people are up against. And in the private insurance world, this is what happens too. I mean, I was paying for my own insurance, and referrals take a long time, and then you're paying out of pocket. So even though our insurance is covered, you still pay in other ways. And we have to do everything within the military hospital system. So every time I need to go to a doctor or urgent care, we're going on base, which is 30 minutes on a good day. So you pay in your time in other ways, but focusing on what needs to happen, when does it need to happen, meaning timing deadline-wise or order, and then who needs to do it. So there's a lot of things that I can take on, but the majority of the stuff, the big stuff, has to get moved to my husband. So it's a lot of control release. And as he likes to remind me, relax, nothing is under control. And I've learned that lesson big time. The other thing that I've really had to hone in on is detaching from the outcome. And this has been really hard for me because I am I'm not going to say reformed, I'm a reforming control freak, where I like to know when things are going to happen. I like to kind of have the plan, the decision set, and go. And my husband likes to do scenarios. And literally he is spitballing new ideas where we've got like 12 different options. And I had to really be conscious of what is actual fact and what is just an idea. Because I was starting to plan from an idea and it was not a decision. And so the more that I could detach from the outcome, but focus on, again, the essentialism of what's most important about the outcome that we're seeking, it allowed me to loosen up the idea of what it was supposed to be. So if it meant that we were going to rent instead of buying a house, if it meant that the timing was going to be different, if it meant that we weren't all going to be together for a couple weeks, all that stuff moved because we thought we were going to be moving at the beginning of June. It's now going to be the end of June because he's going to be transitioning. So all of these things are constantly moving. And I have friends that are now in this position where they're literally going to be living out of an RV for 2 months with 2 kids under 2, a dog, and 3 cats. So we have it easy in comparison, but some people like that wild ride in the RV life. I don't think I'm that person. I will do Airbnb. I will do short-term rentals. I don't think I'm an RV girl, especially not with animals and small children. So detaching from the outcome, super duper important, but also being really focused on what are the things that I absolutely need in that essentialism mindset. Like, what are the things that I have to make sure are taken care of? Is it, being in a place that feels safe? Is it being in a desirable location that has convenience for school or for commute time, because family time is really important. And also not being in a car all the time. So ranking those things that are important, because not everything is going to be a 10 out of 10. So what are the things that have some more wiggle room that you can let go of versus what are the things that absolutely have to be covered? All right. Then the other lesson is the only certainty is uncertainty. As I mentioned before, sometimes you get orders, sometimes you get plans, and then someone calls you and says, by the way, we need you here tomorrow, or we need you here, or we need you somewhere else. And this hasn't necessarily happened to us as much as not knowing. We've been in this kind of flux of not knowing if we were staying here where we currently are, or if we were going to move to another location, or where that location was going to be. And for a while, we thought we were actually going to go somewhere else. And I said, no, I'm not going there. And thankfully, other things started to go in motion that opened up another opportunity, which is where we absolutely want to be. But the same example of my friend who's going to be living in the RV, they had set their whole plan to be somewhere in mid-June. And that then got moved up to mid-March, and then got moved to mid-May. So everything shifts and changes. And if you have a rigid plan, if things have to happen a certain way, and that then changes, it can blow everything up. So having that ability to be adaptable, to be flexible, allows you to make different decisions. And again, the essentialism. So if we absolutely need to have a roof over our head, if we absolutely need to be in a certain location so that our kid can go to school and my husband can go to work and not spend an hour and a half in the car each way every day, which would happen if we moved in with our in-laws, those are the things we focus on. The timing can all change. But once you know the things that are most important, you can negotiate or you can find solutions to solve for those individual problems versus it feeling like everything is a dumpster fire and it's all going to explode. Because that's what can happen. If it feels like life is happening to you, if it's happening against you, then you're going to feel like it's adversarial and you have to battle it and fight it. But if you come at from the mindset of like, you know what? Life's going to life, but what if the universe had my back? What could I start to put in place to make sure that these needs, these core elements got taken care of? And the more you focus on that, the more other options will come out. And it really starts with how you think about it, how you feel about things, and what you put out there. Because if you're in this constant reactive urgent mode, it just sends out the panic alarms. And then everything starts to feel like an urgent fire that has to get put out. And you're going to block yourself off from all that creative flow and other options. So we actually, in our selling of our house here, I'm like, well, why don't we just do a rent back? Then we don't have to look for short-term housing. And that became part of our negotiation arm with the buyers of our house. And they were totally flexible with it. So you don't know until you ask. And I think that's probably another like sub lesson, like just ask, put it out there. It's a negotiation. It's a conversation. And the worst thing you hear is no, or, hey, we can't do that, but we could do this. But if you don't ask, the answer is always no. And the final lesson I will leave you with is the best laid out plans will always change. This is like the through line of everything. And the more that you have this concrete vision of how your career is going to go, how your life's going to go, where everyone's going to be, when they're going to be there, is a higher likelihood that it's just not. I have seen it happen multiple times to friends. This will actually be the first time that my husband will be around his two older children for the duration of his military career. So imagine having the idea or the thought that, oh, I'll just be near my kids and then never be near them. That is a whole plan that just gets blown up. So really, these all are subsets of the same lessons. And at the core of it is be flexible, be adaptable, but know what's most important. Know what those non-negotiables are and where you have some wiggle room to play with, because it's easier to not even problem solve, but to co-create a solution when you actually know what you're solving for and what you do want. And I actually had this conversation with my in-laws last weekend where they were telling me all the things they didn't want about this road trip they were going to take. And I said, I wonder if we could do something else. Can you tell me what you want out of this? What do you want out of the road trip? And it shifted their entire energy. And it was wild. Like I don't think they realized what happened, but I sure did. I was taking notes. But when we can flip that coin and say, you know what, I don't want this, but I really want this, that is going to ignite so much more creative flow, creative energy, ideas, solutions. And you might get an outcome that you didn't think of before, but is actually so much better moving forward. So I hope this was helpful. If there's other lessons, if you're a military spouse listening, and you're like, I got some more ideas. As long as they're constructive, we don't do griping so much on this unless it's a learning lesson. But if there's lessons you want to share, feel free to hit me up, Lauren@spitfirecoach.com. If this was helpful, leave us a review, send it to a friend, and y'all keep being awesome.